We set up a time to meet prior to when we start. When you show up 3 minutes before you start,
I was here. I was trying to get this thing situated. It sucks.
I show up typically an hour before the show.
Yeah, tell the people why their time is invaluable. What's up, everybody? You're listening to, of course, the most downloaded HVAC entertainment podcast in the world. Welcome to the HVAC Overtime show again. I'm your host, Bill Russell, accompanied by my bestest friends in the whole wide world, Chris Stefanovich, Adam the Muff Diver Muffich, and our bestest friend in the whole wide world, Mr. Big Clive, recent YouTube superstar.
Stand in for Joe today, I think, by the look of it.
And for the rest of time, if it's up to us.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Joe. We really do give Joe a lot of crap. So
We do, but not enough.
let's see it.
Let's see it. Let's
play
see.
button right here.
Look at that.
This thing is shiny.
It's
bigger
very
than I
shiny.
thought it
It's
was,
very
too.
mirror. And you know, the water jet channel cut theirs in half, right? And it turns out it's really heavy. It's a solid aluminum extrusions with a chassis inside, or a chassis of MDF wood. But see the little play button in the front here? That's solid aluminum, and you can feel in the back the two screws that go in to actually hold that in place. It's all screwed and bolted together. It's quite a rugged thing.
How much does that thing weigh?
I can give you it in kilograms. It's about 3 kilograms, I think. 3.2
So that's like, what,
kilograms or
97
something.
pounds? I don't know what that means.
Yes, something like that. Yes, 50 kilotons. It's
50 kilos.
a fairly heavy thing. You know, it's chunky. It's solid. It's not.
Oh, didn't you get one for 100,000 too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have the measly one for 100,000 right there.
Are they the same size? Are they the same weight? What's the difference between the two?
No, this one's
they're
much
about
bigger.
this.
This one's a lot bigger than that, but I've got the original silver play button, which is the sort of big frame with the sort of molded button in it. But do you know what? I dug it out recently, and it's clearly some sort of adhesive vinyl in the back of it. It's the grey background. It's all bubbling up in it, so it's kind of like it's gone off. It has expired.
I got my silver play button when they changed to the new style. So mine is the inset play button, just like yours is, Clive, that you got. But the old school one where you actually had the medallion, that was before me.
Do you get one for like 900 subscribers like I got? Like, that'd be cool.
That'd be great. Yes, you should apply. Just make your own out of copper.
Oh, that's a good idea. Why not? I'll just make it out of like plywood and whatever I can find in the garbage.
There you go.
Like, here's my play button.
Yeah,
Like an
thanks,
episode of
Brian.
Friends.
Just note, I'm not here to replace Joe permanently. I'm just standing in momentarily.
That's what Chris said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're permanent.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, I often joke, like, was it like the first or second time? I say this almost every time we mention Clive and all of his wild success, which congratulations on all your success, Clive.
All due to HVAC Overtime. I couldn't have done it without
telling
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Screen grab that moment. Someone remind us right here. We got
I owe
it.
you
Write
so
that
much.
down.
We're gonna redo the intro. Send that to Ryan, and it's gonna say it's all
we need
because
to,
of
we
the
need to fit
HVAC
that in there. Like, Big Clive couldn't have done it without it. Something along those lines that we can ride the coattails off of.
Yep.
So can I tell you, when you hit 1 million, it's just like the millennium. It's a huge anticlimax.
Yeah.
That's literally what it was like. It was like, okay, what am I aiming for next?
Did you like wake up out of a dead sleep, like a wet dream? You just woke up and you're like, oh, and then you're like, I just hit
No.
1 million.
It actually rolled over 1 million about 20 minutes before our Patreon stream. So I just turned it into a celebration Patreon stream.
That's cool.
Oh, nice.
So
And
real
then-
quick before we get too far into this, if people don't know who Clive is, if you've been living under a rock, Clive has a YouTube channel, actually 2 YouTube channels, Big Clive Live and what is it?
BigClive.com.
BigClive.com. There you go. And both of those channels, Clive you are in the Isle of Man is where you're from, right?
Yes.
Yes. And
Born in Scotland, but on the Isle of Man at the moment.
yeah, you basically disassemble and
You guys are
reverse kind of engineer. Would
nasty.
that be a safe way to say it?
Whoops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take stuff to bits.
Yes. So you definitely want to go check out Clive's stuff. If you don't, just for the people that are tuning in that don't know who he is. So Clive is a good friend of the show, has been a friend of the show for a very long time now.
I'd be willing to bet Clive does wear big Crocs. You know what they say? You wear big Crocs.
Very big Crocs.
See, look at that.
They're very hard to get. They were sent by one of my viewers because I've got size 15 feet. That's an American 16. And you can't get them.
16. Now, that's bigger than my giant nasty feet.
Yes, it's because we're just built big.
Holy crap. Well, you know what they say. Big Crocs, big.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know that, Bill. It's completely true.
100% it's true. That's why I can't stand up during the live streams ever, because just the weight of this thing just drags me to the floor.
It's good. See, if you're working on something, you can just lean it on the floor and just lean into it.
100%.
It's like a tripod, so you don't fall over.
I have to pee in floor drains, not because I want to, but because that's the only thing that's close. Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom. You got a floor drain nearby?
It's quite handy when the urinal's crowded. You can just push it in between people to get in there.
Just slide it right between her. Just zoop.
Bill gets all excited when they have the power flush toilets because he's like, sweet, this is going to be fun.
I get to wash it off when I in one of those things.
Oh man.
So
what
besides
else is
that,
up, guys?
yeah, how's everybody how did everybody's Thanksgiving go? Did you guys have Thanksgiving up there, Clive?
We don't. We used to. I remember when I was religious in the early days before I realized other things. Then at church we used to have Thanksgiving, and it was a sort of token gesture thing. People would turn up with like tins of soup and they'd put them on a table. Goodness knows what happened to the stuff, but that was your gift. You had to gift to the Thanksgiving table.
Oh, this is like a potluck. Yeah, we call that a potluck in the States.
Well, I bet like all the priests and nuns and stuff afterwards, they have like a big rager. The party.
They probably do. They'll probably eat it all. Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Jennifer from the HVAC Misfits? You just missed our Croc conversation.
That's right.
For Crocs and everything that rhymes with Crocs.
So funny story.
Yeah,
I was teasing my daughter. She got really mad at me because there was something that popped up on social media. They're doing a special edition McDonald's Crocs, like for a temporary time. They're like whatever the purple thing is that's going around right now. What's that? Grimace. Yeah, they're doing Grimace Crocs. And so I clicked on the link and I screenshotted it and I told my daughter I bought them and she lost her shit. I bought them for myself. That's what I told her. And she lost her shit. We were in the store. She's like, you did not. And I was like, yeah, I bought them. I was like, I knew they'd irritate you. She's like, you ruined my Christmas gift. And I was like, fuck. I was trying to rile her up. And then it come to find out she was going to get me those for Christmas.
Oh,
I didn't even end up buying them. I didn't end up buying them, but I was like, well, I ruined that gift.
Did you tell her you didn't end up buying them? I ended up telling her,
I was just fucking with you. I'm not going to buy those.
I'm not gonna buy those. They're stupid. Who would ever wear those?
I don't think she was gonna get me the Grimace ones. I think she was just gonna get me normal Crocs just to mess with me. But she was all mad. She's like, Mom, telling my wife, she's like, how did you let him buy those?
I don't have Crocs. I don't know how I'd
either.
react if I woke up and I had Crocs on my feet. I don't know what I would do.
I will say that my daughter has a pair of Crocs and she got the insulated ones, so they're all soft and cushy like slippers, and they do look kind of comfy. So.
They're nice to wear, and they're soft in the feet, and they're ventilated, which, well, you'll know about this, Bill. Your feet probably overheat quite a lot because you're a big guy. Yeah, they're very, very ventilated, which is why I like them. But they're also high dielectric strength for when you have little electrical incidents.
I got to wear sweatbands around my ankles. My feet sweat so much.
So
thanks for
Thanksgiving at my house. We just had my dad come over, like super small, and then I always do different stuff for like Christmas and Thanksgiving. I don't like doing traditional anymore, so I made a pot roast of all things. So
You had what was it, like a crawfish boil or something last year?
yeah, we did that
one of those years?
last year, the year
Crab
before.
boil,
Crab
right?
boil.
Crab boil, is that what it was?
Yeah, crawfish is kind of hard to do here because you have to have them flown in, unless you want to have frozen crawfish. But we've had them before, but usually we just do a crab boil with just crab and shrimp. So, but yeah, so we just did that, and then I took my daughter shopping today, and we had to go. Me and my wife are both freaking out this morning. We had to have our dog at the vet at 7 a.m. because she had to get fixed or whatever. So that was kind of hard for us to drop the dog off, but we already picked her up and stuff, so that's cool. She's back home. Our dog is like our child. So
Is that why you didn't laugh at my joke earlier today?
I didn't laugh because you offended me because my dog. Yeah, he told me to have him put an extra stitch in my dog.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, damn, I wouldn't even say something like that. That's just wrong on so many levels. It's like, it instigated that he was somehow banging the dog, essentially.
I laughed inside, but it was not at the right moment because we had just dropped my dog off, so I wasn't happy about that. But
you should have leaned over and showed your wife, like, look what Adam wrote.
she wouldn't know what it meant. So she doesn't get our humor, guys. She doesn't understand our humor. She doesn't understand why we laugh at stupid stuff. She gets mad when she hears me hysterically laughing on my phone at nighttime, and then I show it to her, and she's like, why would you look at something like that? And then she sees me getting ready to send it. She's like, don't send that. I'm like, why? They're going to think it's just as funny. She's like, no, they're not. Yes, they are.
100% we are.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
So Brian Sanders has a real technical question for you, Clive.
Do I freeball it? Well, what does freeballing mean?
I think in the States, as far as I know, it means to just work without underpants on. You got overpants, but no underpants.
I often get accused of this, making the videos with no pants on. And in the past, I've done it in underpants on a very hot day. So some of the videos are made in pants.
I swear, like every video I've ever seen of yours, you're always in flannel or some sort of long sleeve shirt. Usually, well,
The shag shirt, that's mainly in winter here.
Thinking about your lifestyle and the temperature in your house, Clive, you let it get to extremes. Extreme hot, pretty darn cold as well too. Maybe that's why your YouTube play button's bubbling off.
Yeah,
extreme temperature swings. Adam and Chris are both like nonstop talking about their home projects. You could get in on this too and like get a home project, design a system, and for the next 17 months you could join in this conversation about
let's have TEC send out a blower door, and me and Chris will fly in and we'll set that up.
Do they have one that
fits
around the archways?
That's the intro to the device I've got here, isn't it? This blower door thing, because you guys have got this obsession with sealing your houses up completely airtight and finding every little air leak. So 100%. Let me introduce you to
finally somebody who understands my pain.
The positive input ventilation fan system. Maybe I should actually just hold on, switch back to the other screen so I can actually see it. So this device has a centrifugal fan. It's got a low voltage DC motor. It's got it completely unnecessary, but they do it anyway, computerized stuff. And it's got a 500 watt heater in the front of it, right?
Okay.
And the idea is, here's the way it mounts is amazing as well. Do you see these little ridges in the handle here?
Yeah.
You literally put a hook into one of your roofing joists in the attic, and you put a bit of rope down, and it just hangs under one of those notches to actually dangle it. And it's for acoustic isolation. But on each of these fan inlets goes, hold on, I'll just grab it here. One of these air inlet filters, and all the adverts, they show it completely like rigid like this, it's sticking out from the side of it like this. But this is an air intake and there's no support inside. So in reality, they're just going to it's not a huge airflow, but as it clogs up, it's going to just crumple up like that. It's really odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe I should read the instructions.
I wonder if there's a metal frame you put in there or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Really there you go.
Maybe it's a chef's hat.
But what is the purpose of this?
So you put it in your attic, and it sucks air through the filters and then goes through a bit of flexible pipe, and in your whatever level you're on, the attic to, if it's in my case, bungalow, this then goes through the ceiling, and it blows the air sideways. It's got a little deflector in there, and it blows it. And you get little things that go in so you can actually choose areas you're not going to have it. But the idea is it creates positive pressure in your house from the attic, and it creates a continuous airflow through your house, finding all the gaps in windows and doors to actually push the air through. But the main thing is it's got that positive pressure, and any humidity in your house and mold, it just gradually displaces it. But this is low power. This is only like a couple of watts. Like it's almost like computer fan levels. For its size, it's ridiculous. I guess that might be a noise thing. I don't really know. But that's
it doesn't actually connect outdoors. It's in the, so you're just pulling in attic air or above ceiling air, I guess. And
it is. So it's air coming in under the eaves into your attic.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And it just...
So, let me ask you this, Clive. Do you not have like a forced air furnace in your house?
No. Most of the heating systems here are hydronic, as you guys say. It's a boiler with radiators dotted around and a closed loop hot water system.
So this makes sense as to why you would have something like that, because here we have a forced air furnace or a heat pump with a fan coil, and we can draw in outside air to make our house positive.
Hey, thanks,
okay.
So my design of my house is that I am going to bring fresh air into my house to make it ever so slightly positive, and it's going to be drawn in when my fan coil's running. Basically, it's going to draw outside air in through the filter, though, in the places I want it to, instead of through the leaky cracks and walls where it's unfiltered. But this makes sense on a place where, you know, you would have I would still think you would want a better filter. But
I mean, I also would think like you'd want a better a system that's kind of more, I don't know, at least stable, not just suspended from a shoelace, just like dangling there. Like,
I suppose it makes sense. It comes little plastic feet that you can mount it in the joists if you want, but by suspending it, it gets rid of that layer of fan noise. I think a lot of the design of this is just basically separating so you don't get that continuous sort of sound of a fan. And maybe that is also why it's got such a big fan, although it's low power, so it can rotate slower and just basically do it quietly.
You essentially have a leaf blower.
Yes, kind of leaf blower, but very weak leaves.
Is there multiple speeds on it?
Leaf whisper, like
computerized control.
You can set it to match your house, and also you can program the temperature that if the air coming in is too low temperature, it will turn on that heater and just preheat it very slightly. But there is electric heating in that sense, but it is only 500 watts. But if the temperature in the attic goes too low to the point it's going to be chilling your house too much, in winter, it will just turn itself off. But it also has the advantage that if it's summertime, it brings in the sort of the sunlight is heating your attic up. It will then bring that warm heat into the house. But again, it detects, is it getting too hot? And if it's too hot, it turns off again, apparently.
How much control of the speed do you actually have?
That is done at the unit on its little keypad, right? But you do get a remote control facility for it. But typically speaking, it's a set and forget device.
I could see this working if you put a better air filtration system on it, run flex duct to each side of it, running to the outside and pull actually outside air, not through the attic, and then maintain building pressure.
Because when I experimentally, before getting this, I made a little 3D printed frame. I put a little port through the ceiling, and I put a simple computer fan on, but one designed for pressure, and then a HEPA filter above it. And that's what's still in place. But it's like this house is already, I don't really heat the house. I have to say, the first thing I've noticed is you can feel the airflow, even at that tiny level, through the house, and it does chill the place quite notably.
Do you plan on...
what your question was there, actually?
I don't remember him asking.
You notice the difference in I mean, you said there's a HEPA filter on it, though, right?
There is, yeah. This thing, the fabric filter here, they say you can wash it and it should be washed X number of times a year. And you get high filtration ones for areas where there might be exhaust fumes brought in from being next to a road. But I think the biggest worry would be, is your attic going to smell? Because since I put that little one in, you always get that slight mustiness in some attics. And that initially there was that smell, but now it's been displaced. The fact it's pulling air through the attic is kind of keeping the attic fresh as well. It's a walk-in attic, by the way. So
I think it's right. It's right there, Minky Mutu. Hurts. Yeah, I can't see. You can't see it. You can't see it. Sorry,
Mhm.
sideline conversation.
Uh-huh.
Are you going to take that to bits eventually?
I think I will take it to bits, but it's that thing, you know, that the label on the front with the touchpad and all that is on the seam, so that the only way you can take it to bits is to actually void the warranty effectively by actually breaking it. So how much do you reckon this was for this?
Did you buy it from
unit?
China?
No, I didn't. This is a Ventaxia one. I don't know if Ventaxia is a big name in America.
It's got to be
No, I've never heard
275,
of that.
350.
450 watts with heater. Oh, 14 watt maximum for the fan here. This was about 350, I think it was. For this, it's all right, but I think the price is hyped up because you see other ones that are simple and it's just basically a multiple speed set, and all it is a fan, and that's it.
You know, another thing too, when you say that,
Thank you, Chipmunk.
yeah, that was very nice. And Chipmunk kind of talked about it too. You know, when we're sealing up our houses super tight, the whole idea of sealing up our houses super tight is to stop bringing air through unwanted places and bring it through proper filtration. That's the whole idea, because we're pulling, especially in certain parts of the country where they have high humidity and stuff, you know,
and to keep the air that you're tempering inside the building, of course.
So go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say, I've noticed with my house, I've recently encapsulated the attic and I dropped my blower door number substantially. And I still notice, like, you know how, like, if you're looking at a window and the sun is shining, you could see kind of like airborne dust flying in the air every so often.
Yeah.
I still noticed that. And I thought that would start to subside. But like, then I'm wondering, like, you have to be moving your air in such a volume through the filter to actually filter it. And you have really no velocity on any of your returns, no face velocity, right? So I don't know. Like, I'm wondering, is that going to get better over time if I continue to seal my house, or like, you know?
I genuinely think that the particulate you're seeing is just naturally in the air every single day, and I feel like it'd still be there.
That is effectively skin dust getting into furnishings and everything, isn't it? And through your clothing, even just rubbing your clothing would probably, he said, rubbing his breasts provocatively, rubbing your clothing would create that cloud. I mean, look at lasers.
What if I rub my groin? Is that kind of
yes, you should rub your groin with your phone, as described earlier, to calibrate it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We were talking about calibrating the compass.
You see, we do like that to calibrate the compass on our phone, but Bill's was asking him to rub it up and down his groin for some reason.
Yeah.
And there was someone's face at the time, and they were like making
and that's
noises.
how I swipe left on my Grinder app.
I was trying to unlock his Grinder app, and that's what it asked him to do.
Yeah, and of course I have to put the phone on the floor to do that.
My phone is pretty dirty. I don't want to catch anything, you know.
Also, I don't know how it calibrates while it's vibrating so forcibly. Strange.
Hold on, let me pull it out of my butt.
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, that was really nice, guys. Y'all don't need to do that, but thank you.
Is that a new guy? I don't recognize that bass. What's up, Christian?
Indeed.
Yeah,
Might
he must
just be
know
one of
Clive.
Clive's friends.
He is one of the regulars on the other channel. I should have actually mentioned those. I did let him mention the Patreon stream. I don't know if I mentioned in the other stream.
So we can expect the big Clive bump now, and we'll be getting our own play buttons pretty soon, I assume.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
Be careful. Be careful opening emails. Be careful opening emails.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, I don't. I'm never careful with that. I'm hoping to get emails like you get, Chris.
Yeah, I don't get those anymore. I only got it once, and that was the last time I opened an email.
I just get to like look into the eye of God, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh man, I told you about that one, right, Clive?
Oh, what was that?
I got an email. It was some random person, and it was like a picture, and I don't know why. I just decided to go ahead and click on it. And it was a dude sitting on a couch with no pants on, spreading his butt cheeks. And I was like, what did I just open to?
Well,
no, not cool.
Had someone sent you this, or was it just one of... right, okay. It wasn't like live or anything like that.
No. It was
a shitty app.
It was, yeah, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was someone that I don't know if they're yeah. Anyways, that's as far as I'm going to go right now. I'm not going to call
Lucky.
them out, but yeah.
Some
Hold on.
people have all the luck.
Yeah.
Chris is
Yeah,
one of them.
and of course I immediately deleted it instead of sharing it with the guys. I was like,
Sure
what
you
the hell? Click.
Sure.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure you sent that to us.
Did I?
I swear you did. Like
I deleted it on my end, but
I
yeah.
swear I saw it. Or maybe I'm just imagining it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what I get for getting half our viewers by telling them to Google Bailey J. So Jennifer is right.
Yeah,
She
that's
said that's
true.
what I get for Bailey J.
Which-
Payback, but that was pre-payback because that was way before I
Don't
mentioned
Google
Bailey.
that guy. Save yourself
Yeah,
some
if you guys
therapy.
are curious, Google Bailey J. You'll find a cool little surprise.
I mean, if you like chicks with sausages, Google it.
Yep. So, but I got Jen with that one. Oh man. So yeah, this is like for us in the States, a lot of us have Thursday off for holiday, and then like today I took today off. Did you guys work today?
Nope. I took a vacation day.
I'm trying to finish up my ESCO project. I'm sitting in front of the computer all day, which reminds me, Bill, you're on my list of things to do this weekend.
I've been on that list for quite some time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like a week ago you emailed me.
But so this week was kind of
No
a short
worries.
week for me. I had nothing too crazy, just normal work stuff. I had a vendor not show up. That kind of irritated me with
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, you were waiting on someone
we went to the
arriving.
security company. Yeah, we had like
That is
scheduled it and
annoying.
everything. Yeah. And then the person, this is like a giant company, so they have like people that do the scheduling, and the person that does the scheduling that confirmed with us, he came back and he's like, "Oh, I regret saying confirm when I told you we were going to show up." He was like, "I was waiting for a final yes or no from you." And I'm like, "What about the phone call you made to us that said we are coming tomorrow?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, that was a mistake." Yeah, whatever. So
Mm.
supposedly I'm going to meet with him on Monday now. So
Are you
will-
But that's
charging-
lost you time that you can't recover the financial aspect of that, can you?
Oh no, I
Mhm.
bill it out. Yeah, no, it's not my thing. It's
Oh,
so
okay.
the cool thing is that because of the way that I do everything, I went through the customer that I'm working for. I had them call their own vendor. It's not anybody that I called. So the customer called their security company and scheduled to meet us. And then the security company didn't show up. So myself and the other technician that sat there waiting for 2 hours are billing out our time. That'll all go on the invoice. So I get
Okay.
paid. It was just more frustrating because I couldn't finish a job that I wanted to finish. For me,
Yeah.
honestly, I think what I was more irritated about was that this is a series of days that I've spent at this location, and I've been filming this whole process. So I was hoping to post that for my Sunday video this week. And because
Mhm.
that was what really pissed me off. I was like, damn it, I couldn't post that as my Sunday video. So it'll have to be next week's video. So
See, so now they're getting they're destroying you financially in two ways.
yeah, but no, it was cool. It was a bummer, but I mean, it'll be cool to get it finished up. That was a job where we have smoke detectors, duct detectors that are mounted in air conditioning units. They're all completely inaccessible. And so I relocated them all to a place where we can get to them. And we just have to have the alarm company hook up their wires, like the final connections, which is frustrating because like I can do it. I could be done with it and not even need them. But for legal reasons, I want to have them come out and land their wires on it. That way liability falls off me if something doesn't work.
You know, speaking of YouTube content, I was meaning to ask Clive this. So, Clive, with you being such a ginormous YouTube superstar now, do you have
Mhm.
a team of like people that are helping you film content, do content, make content? Do you have anybody really?
Just
Really?
me, and I was thinking about this yesterday because, like, the hours involved, just even reading through the comments, it's just ridiculous. And everybody finds ways to get communication with you. And the official email address for YouTube, for me, is just bombarded with advertisers these days. It's just like continuous stream of people wanting me to push their products.
Hmm.
Yes, I agree.
Which I
It's
don't
the
do.
same.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same for me. And Bill, I don't have anybody. I know that's what Bill's kind of getting at. I don't have anybody helping me either. And I've been trying to figure out a way, but like Clive and I have both talked, it's really, really difficult to have people help us with what we do because it's technical content.
Mhm.
And there's only so much. Like, for instance, I had a person reach out to me. He was like a guy that just wanted to start editing content, and he wasn't going to edit my videos. He just wanted to make short form content for me. And so I was in a good mood, and I said, all right, here's a clip I'm about to edit into a short form video. See what you can do with it. And he made the clip for me, and it looked great, you know. But then I realized as I was watching what he did, I sent him the wrong clip. And there was something not technically correct in what I said in that clip. And I had recorded another version, the next file in my phone. And it was like, oh, that's why I can't rely on someone that's not an HVAC person to edit this content, because they have to be able to watch it and say that's not correct, you know?
I think too, like along those same lines, like you guys both got to your point in, you know, wherever you are on YouTube, like you guys both got there doing it yourselves, figuring out along the way, figuring out what worked best for you, what your audience liked. And like, so you just made your own path. And so now, like, let's say, Clive, you hired a person, like you have to try to get them to do, I don't know, to fall in line with whatever systems you've maybe subconsciously put in place already.
That would introduce complications if I employed someone, because then I'd basically have to, it just increases the wall of paperwork unless I did it freelance. But there's that thing that you'd think it'd be great to have someone go into the comments and pretend they were you, like the celebrities do, like the movie celebrities do. But you can't do that with technical videos, because if someone replies and they give misinformation because they just don't know what they're talking about, that's bad news. And what comes to mind, what Chris was saying there, Eric the Car Guy, another YouTube channel, he tried that. He got someone in to edit videos, and he said when he was looking at it, everything was out of sequence because the guy didn't actually realize what was actually happening in the video. So instead of everything being the correct sequence, it was jumping backwards and forwards between the bits because the guy just saw handfuls of nuts and bolts and wires. So it kind of doesn't work. It's going to have to just be me. And to be honest, I don't want the channel to get bigger for that reason. And I've never asked people to subscribe, and I'm not going to do that because I don't want the channel getting too big. Because the more of the sort of people that you say, hi, remember to like and subscribe, those aren't necessarily the people you want. I'd rather they only choose to subscribe, because the ones that just click subscribe just because you asked are the ones who will generally ask the dumb questions, and your whole comment section will be filled up with silly stuff.
I agree. It is very difficult, and there's a level. I would like help in some aspects, but there's some things that I can't let go. And what I can't let go of is my communication with the people that send me emails and messages. But the problem is I don't get to respond to a lot of them. But when I do, it's truly me, right? It's me actually responding to them. So, you know, that's a cool thing. But I would like to be able to, you know, get back to people more often. Like, that's really difficult though when you're trying to do multiple things, you know, because I'm running a normal business and have a family too, so it's just like damn near impossible.
Yeah, it's just sucking up more of your time.
True. Yeah. It'd be great if people sent you a message and they just in one sentence asked you their question, right? But the ones, I don't know if you get this, it's like 10 pages, and it's
10 pages. Yes.
And it's not one question. It's just like they're just dumping all their technical woes on you at once. And it's just like you look at it and then you just like delete. Too long, didn't read, literally, because it was just arduous.
I hate to do that too, because there's genuine questions in those emails. But when I see those things, and like sometimes I'll even respond to those, and I'm like, guy, this is way too much. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot respond to all of this. There's way too much going on here. Like, dude, and I'll just send them that, you know?
I don't, like, you guys, both of your channels are far bigger than my channel. And I don't look at any of my comments or respond to any of my comments for the fact that I don't even have time. I mean, I could make time, but I don't have the excess time to just like swap out with doing something else.
Yeah.
Well, my channel is actually mirrored over in Odyssey. So when I release a video on YouTube, it's also mirrored in Odyssey. I never check because it's hard enough
what do you
checking
mean,
through the comments.
What does that mean?
Odyssey is another platform, which basically it's a video streaming platform, but it automatically mirrors your YouTube content as what you might call a backup. But it's also, for those who want it, it's free to view. There's no adverts on it. It was some strange crypto-ish type thing in the past, and some other electronic YouTubers went and encouraged me to go in it, so I've done that. And it's almost like my emergency backup if I get booted off YouTube for producing dangerous technical content.
Interesting. I'll have
Never
to
heard
check
of
it out.
that.
I'll look into it. I know that there's, some of the people that some of the big creators like yourself, they have kind of partnered and created their own social media platforms. That do different things, and those ones are interesting, but they're very limited to the amount of people and types of creators that they let into those content platforms. You know which ones I'm talking about, Clive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but are you talking float plane and things like that? Float plane, is it?
I don't know if
With
that's the one that I'm
Linus
thinking
Tech
of.
Tips.
I'm trying to think
But
which creators. A lot of the big technical creators that do the teardowns, those guys have started doing stuff on their own platforms where I think you have to pay to go to them. I think as a consumer, I think you have to pay to watch the content.
Right. See, I don't want to put my content behind a paywall because
Yeah.
I treat it as education. I want it always to be
Right.
free, even though it's got adverts on it. I don't really want to do
Right.
that. But there is the other thing that when it comes to crunch, where do people come first to look for video content? And it's YouTube. There's no there's Vimeo, but who goes to Vimeo? There's Odyssey,
The only
but who
people
goes to
using
Odyssey?
Vimeo is like businesses that put their content on there because they want to hoard it and don't want anybody to be able to download it and things like that. I see people using Vimeo for that. Sorry, go ahead.
I do have a lot of videos on TikTok under bigclive.com 3, but I don't know actually who that is because it's not me. I'm not on TikTok. But they've taken all my shorts and they've just copied it and made a channel. And you look at it's bigclive.com 3 alludes to the fact there's also bigclive.com and bigclive.com 0 and loads of clone channels with random stolen videos.
Yeah, I wonder if they're able to monetize that, or if TikTok is policing it, or do you have to find it out yourself and then file copyright strikes? Or
I'm just observing it to see how popular it is.
I'll tell you that
doing.
TikTok, the monetization is very minimal on TikTok unless you have like brand deals with them. TikTok doesn't pay a lot. Like it's kind of weird. One thing I'll say, like I still like YouTube because it works. Obviously they have a lot of money backing it and their servers are huge and we can upload 4K files. We can do that and it works. But I'll say the thing about YouTube that sucks is they don't have a good way to organize your channel. Videos get buried and they're just lost. Yeah, you can do a playlist, okay, but playlists aren't like, they need a better way of being able to organize. I know you can subscribe to just a playlist on YouTube, but I feel like they should have more categories that a person can subscribe to. And I feel like it should be better. Most people that consume YouTube, I don't even think realize that there's playlists on my channels because it's so difficult to find that stuff.
Generally speaking, they can go to your channel homepage and it does offer a list of playlists there, I think. Also, they can search for a specific subject in the search box there. So that kind of helps with that.
I watch 99% of my YouTube content on my TV at home because I have it in my streaming service and I watch almost all YouTube on and there's no, you can get to it, but it's really hard to even get to the comments on a TV. I don't know. It's just interesting, but I think YouTube, I just recently had one of my sponsors ask me, they were asking me if I'd consider starting another channel. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, because of this thing that I'm talking about. He's like, whenever you do a video, it just gets lost. And it's like, we can go to a refrigeration playlist, but I mean, you've just got, 600 videos on refrigeration and it just gets buried in there. So
let's segue real quick. You guys go out and do the Black Friday stuff. Do they have the Black Friday sales over there, Clive?
They have adopted Black Friday from America. So the marketing industry jumped on it and they do it, but I never get involved in that. I don't ever look at it. It's just
I think it's so
silly.
All a
gimmick.
It's so stupid.
I went out for the first time today in years to do Black Friday shopping with my daughter. And it was a typical Saturday. There wasn't any more people in the stores. The parking lots weren't any more crowded. Things have changed. Now, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, Black Friday shopping, there would be people camping in tents in front of stores because they wanted to get $200 off a TV that cost them $800 or something like that. And, it's just changed so much now with how easy it is to order things on the internet.
I still run into people that, in my opinion, don't fully understand Black Friday. They're like, I can get this TV, this 87-inch TV for $200. I'm like, yeah, you could, but like that's not the same brand that was there last week. This is
Nope.
A Yakamozo TV that they just brought in because it's made out of the crappiest materials. They can buy it for pennies on the dollar.
Even the name brands, just like for Costco, you can go buy a Sony TV from Costco, or Sony, they don't even make TVs anymore, but let's say Samsung, right? You get a Samsung TV from Costco. Well, they don't sell that same Samsung TV anywhere else. So if you're comparing the features, Costco has that specifically made for them.
Mm-hmm.
It has these features. So a lot of times the discount TVs, they're just, one-off brands that they had those people make. They're less certain features.
I went on Amazon today and I have a cart full of stuff that I want, and I was just watching it, and the prices have all lit up in red. They're like Black Friday deal, 53% off. I'm looking at the prices. I look at it quite often because I'm like, I want to buy this, then I change my mind and I don't buy it, but it's been in my cart for months. So I've looked at the price quite a bit, and today it was illuminated all in red, had a little timer down. You get this savings if you purchase within X amount of time, and it's counting down backwards. And the only thing that changed was the listed retail price that they had crossed out, and they had the red illuminated numbers over top of it. And I'm like, that price, it's been the same price since it's been in my cart. Essentially, it might have changed like a few cents, but
and what I find too is most of the things that are on sale today, there might be one or two, they call them doorbuster items that they used to have explicitly on just today, but everything else is going to be on sale for the same price, if not cheaper, as we come up to Christmas. So it's all the same crap.
Now, Bill, if you want to reduce that list of items from Amazon, the best thing, that's because you stopped drinking. The best thing is late night drinking and then mass purchasing of shite on online retailers.
That's where I got all this stuff from. But this isn't shite. These are all memories. All of these hold special spots in my heart.
There's a few things that I'm gonna look and see. Like, I think although I was actually looking forward to the sales that were happening to pick up a new Haven air monitor, but then Adam's actually found a place where they're a little bit cheaper right now, but it kind of makes me wonder if they're closing them out because they're going to come out with a new model, Adam.
I don't know. That's a good question, but
they're on sale through Haven's site too, but not as low as what you're selling, what your distributor was selling them for.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Set up.
I don't know
either. See. You would think that maybe some people in the know that communicate with us would tell us that the Havens are going to change their model, but maybe not. I don't know. Who knows?
I wish the Haven did carbon dioxide.
Yeah, they backwards calculate CO2. They don't actually have a CO2 sensor in their thing.
So many do that. That is just, and they just average it. They calculate it based on a volatile organic compound sensor or something like that.
Yeah,
a cheap sensor.
Exactly what they do. Well, but I will say that Haven doesn't have. They have very, very high quality sensors in their air quality monitors. That they are known for that, really, really high quality. But still, they do not have just CO2. They are backwards calculating it.
One thing I was always curious about is, like, do any of these sensors have like an expiration date on it? Like, hey, this is good for X amount of years, and then it starts degrading, and the accuracy starts falling off a cliff, something like that.
I mean, and just dirt build up on it.
Yeah. Well, with a lot of our stuff, I mean, we buy these really fancy digital tools that have, all kinds of pressure sensors and hydrometers and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's like, how do we check accuracy on that stuff? Like, I mean, I know like Field Piece you're supposed to throw your thing in the freezer for so much time in a bag that has air. So, I don't know, some weird crap.
You got to rub it on your crotch.
Yeah, probably.
There's a lot of that going on lately.
The Blue Vac. Do you have the Blue Vac micron gauge, Chris?
Dude, mine has finally gotten to the point where it's going to stop working because it's like calibrate soon. How
I was looking at how do you calibrate it? It's the craziest thing.
You put it in a bag, right, of salt or sand or
no, you put it I think it's like you put it in a bag and then you put it in the freezer and you wait until it starts beeping. I'm like, how am I going to hear it in the freezer? So I'm like standing next to the freezer for 20 minutes waiting to hear this beep, and then it says put it in like, I can't remember what it said, 80-degree air or something.
Wait, what is this you guys are calibrating again?
The micron gauge, the Blue Vac.
Yeah, you have to put it in the freezer to
I tell you what, if anybody from TrueTech is watching right now, I know that you guys used to do combustion analyzer sensor changes. if you guys would be willing to calibrate my manometer, I would gladly send it in and pay $50
Manometer?
or mic
Dude,
on
it takes 2 seconds. It literally it's less than 20
Really?
minutes to do it. You don't do anything. You don't touch anything. It's just like
Okay.
hit the calibrate and then put it in your freezer, and then it beeps and it says go put it in like warm air. So I put it in front of a vent.
Interesting.
Furnace or whatever. And that was it.
Wouldn't it be easier to have like a button that just zeroes it out to atmospheric pressure?
I don't know.
What about this one right here? So your local HVAC guy says, what do you prefer for IAQ? ERV, HRV, or dehumidifier? That's going to change depending on where you're at, right, Adam?
And what you're trying to do too, right?
Yeah. Because like I was kind of trying to do research on how I wanted to bring fresh air into my house, and basically either I bring in just dump fresh air into my return cabinet so it goes through my filter, or I use an ERV because we've kind of determined that an HRV would be kind of pointless on my setup.
With mine, I have an ERV, and I'm actually providing more fresh air than ASHRAE's 62.2 requirements. So like, I thought it'd be perfect, you know. I only have one carbon dioxide sensor in the house, which I think I should pick up a second one just to verify its accuracy. But there's times where our carbon dioxide is like extremely high, even with the ERV running 24/7, which is a little bit troubling for me. And I actually, another friend of the show, John Ellis, I asked him about what he thinks about it. He's like, just because you're providing 62.2 requirements doesn't mean that's enough. You might need extra outside air at certain times or whatever, you know. So that started, the wheels started spinning in my head in that. So I don't know.
So Clive, I got a question for you. You see us talking about all this crazy stuff with home pressurization and air quality. I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Does it, as Americans, do we look like idiots because we're going way overboard with this stuff?
Now you've actually put it into my mind that you of course have the hot air systems versus our closed systems. That is different because you are potentially bringing that air in if that system works. But I'm not really sure. It's interesting. It's an alien, two completely different ways of approaching heating. We don't even, heat pumps are only really just starting to get established for home use here. They're not a common thing. Gotcha. My heating here is a kerosene boiler. It's an oil boiler.
So I just changed my house to a heat pump, and everybody thinks I'm crazy because I had a forced air furnace before. I figured, why not? Let's try it. But
yeah, not sure.
Yeah. You only live once.
Nope. A good majority of people are afraid. What's that?
Not Chris.
Yeah, not Chris. No.
A good majority of people are afraid of heat pumps because in the 90s and late 80s, there was a rollout of heat pumps because people realized that it is more efficient in certain areas depending on electricity costs and stuff. But the problem is that you have to design correctly and size correctly for a heat pump, and you can't just use rules of thumb. And so there was a big push on heat pumps in the late 80s, early 90s, and a lot of them weren't working. They weren't, because people weren't installing them right, and they didn't know how to design for them. So it gave them a bad name. And so the industry has had a black eye as far as heat pumps go for a long time. So now there's a big rollout on them again, and everybody's like, oh, those aren't going to work. I can't tell you how many comments I've gotten from people on my videos because I've been documenting the whole thing, and they're like, your house is never going to work. It's never going to work. It's never going to work.
Like, yours is being installed properly because you're doing it, but unfortunately they're really pushing it here, and the companies that are pushing it here are the same ones that employ roofers to go and slap solar panels on your roof and stuff the wires and use impact drivers to tighten up the electrical connections. And it's just these one-day certified heat pump installers, and they're promising the world, but they're going to put in systems that are contaminated or leaky, and it's going to cause problems, and then it's going to give them a bad name again. But they're going to make their money, and that's all they're interested in. Yep.
Same thing is happening here, and the biggest problem for us is that they are incentivizing this heat pump push with tax credits and energy rebates and all this different stuff, and all the big box residential companies that do roofing, plumbing, solar, gardening, lawn mowing, all this crap all in one, right? Those guys are pushing this,
jumping the bandwagon.
Well, that's the big thing. I had this conversation on the Electrify Everything Facebook group the other day. The government is handing out all this tax money and rebates and tax credits and this and that for heat pumps, but like they're not regulating commissioning. There's no like oversight on, is this being installed properly? Are we actually getting the efficiencies that are put out there? And the whole idea is like, we want to have a reduction in carbon, going carbon neutral, right? So that was another thing, is like these heat pump water heaters. They're great. They're heat pumps. They're efficient, right? And people are buying them because they're, you know, a reduction in carbon. But the thing is, they fail very quickly and they create leaks. And now there's refrigerant being leaked into the atmosphere. So which is worse, having a fossil fuel water heater or having a water heater that needs to be manufactured every couple of years because you need a new one, and having somebody roll a truck to your house for service calls and having another truck roll out to your house to have it reinstalled and have refrigerant leak into the atmosphere? Like,
That's a good point.
I do get a feeling a lot of this eco save the environment thing is literally just a money mill. It's being used. The people who are mainly promoting it are just using it for financial purposes. They're pushing solar panels here a lot as well. We don't even get a lot of sunshine. Every time it's seasonal, the company that's doing it has a Facebook page, and only on their first hot sunny day of the year, which is like a tiny percentage a year, they're like, look at the output of our amazing solar panels. See, at this time of the year, absolute silence, because they don't want you to know how much is coming out of those solar panels, because it's approximately zero.
Yeah. Well, and again, here again, you know, whatever, we can get all crazy with this, but here in Southern California, electricity is something that's difficult for us right now, right? Because we have such a huge population of people in a small area that we can't produce it fast enough. And, you know, the natural means, solar, wind, which they call those the natural eco-friendly means, but really there's a lot of carbon emissions in creating the stuff to make the solar panels and the windmills and all that crap, right? So that's a whole nother argument. But we get a good majority of our electricity from burning natural gas here. So it's just kind of like, well, why are we taking natural gas out of the houses if, you know?
There's if anyone has time and you want to like learn more about this, there's a book called Losing Our Cool by Stan Cox. I read that over the summer, and it's basically showing like, hey, if you're doing this, you're actually adding, like, it's not a 1-for-1 trade-off. Like, you're creating more carbon by doing other things. And like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so you're not using natural gas, but you are using a heat pump. And like you said, it's natural gas power plant, or they're doing X and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's not, you're not creating as big of an impact as you think you're creating.
Well, and I think that
the world,
you know, the I call them the hippies, because we have a lot of those in California that want to save the environment, and I'm all for that. If we can do it and it makes sense, sure. But they won't allow us to use nuclear power plants anymore. And it's like, okay,
I'm pro-nuclear.
That's the solution. Yeah.
But the main thing is it has to be done right and not done by large corporates with the laborers dressed in white lab coats who don't really know what they're doing and end up blowing the place up.
Well, at our nuclear power plant that we just shut down was 30 years old, 40 years old. And it's like, okay, yeah, that place needs updates. It needs to be modernized. It needs to have better safeties, you know. But I still believe, and again, I'm not a genius with all this stuff, but I still believe there's better ways to use nuclear. I've read some interesting stuff too. There is.
It's like, I definitely, I don't know anything about nuclear. All I know is like you hear about like the scares in different places that are like, yeah, right. So like, you know, there is nuclear waste that, you know, comes out of the nuclear plant. And what is that? You have to deal with it forever, basically.
The fuel rods basically never stop. I mean, you know. Is that your Geiger meter?
That is my Geiger counter.
Yeah.
Now, there's a channel called Radioactive Drew. This is a Russian, obviously. There's a channel called Radioactive Drew. And you know the whole thing about Fukushima and how they're pumping all that water into the sea and it's a disaster and it's destroying the environment. Radioactive Drew recently featured a radioactive material processing plant in America where they literally had some holding pools to let the chunky bits settle, and then they just pump the rest into the river. And there's a whole area around that area that is like so much worse than the whole of Fukushima. It's quite interesting.
Interesting. If you haven't, too, go watch I know Adam watched it.
Man, we're so screwed as a society.
The 3 Mile Island documentary on Netflix is fascinating. Genuinely good documentary about the corruption that happened on 3 Mile Island. and just the incompetence of all these certified people that were running this nuclear power plant, and they basically just fucking let the place melt down. It was just corruption left and right.
I have a question, and this is probably an irresponsible thing to even suggest, but like with the spent fuel rods and that, you know, we have all these rockets being sent up into space all the time, left and right, for all these satellites and that. Why not just blast these things out, like not even into orbit, just like freaking destination
Didn't
nowhere?
that happen on Superman?
We
Didn't
could
he?
put them in the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they'd be out the way, but it's kind of expensive. We could do what the Chinese do. Let me show you what the Chinese do to get rid of their waste radioactive material.
Maybe we could put them in the moon if we could get to the moon.
Don't go down this path right now.
Or let's just shoot rockets at the sun. I mean, it's going to just burn up in the sun. I mean,
Yeah,
They'll
but
never
what if the
make it
sun
there.
explodes?
The sun's so far away, they'll never make it to the sun.
yeah, that's true.
Who cares where it goes? Just send it like
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
That's
there's
next
Earth
week
two-
people problems.
2 galaxies
I
away,
think-
and they're over here just a big giant rocket full of nuclear crap just
See,
destroys their
this is
entire
how
planet.
idiocracy starts.
Yes.
I think we should send it to China because you know what they're doing. You can go on eBay right now and buy this healthful healing wand. Oh, look, it's all gone horrible at the tip. It's all rusted. That's not good.
Looks like an ink
Anyway,
pen.
It does look like an ink pen. You're supposed to stir your drinks with it or massage yourself because it's got healing ionic power.
I think
let's
I know
just
where
bring
this
the-
is going.
Yeah,
let's- Let's bring the Geiger counter out, shall we?
oh,
So this is
shit.
the ambient radiation level, right? Now let's put it up against the pen. Hold on.
Jeez.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very good.
So after a while, that's the alarm going off because the radiation levels off this device.
what does it taste like?
Hmm?
And you're supposed to
What's it
stir
taste
your
like?
drinks with that?
Yeah.
Is this a way for them
Thing
to
is,
like
It's
sterilize
basically.
the
Hold on, I'll
food?
turn the alarm off here.
Do you use it for sound?
Oh, you know what? Do you know what would have really helped if I? That's better. No, hold on. I'll hold the right end of the Geiger counter, right? So here we go again. So here's the right end of it. Now you can hear it
Jeez.
because it is highly radioactive, 2.5 microsieverts an hour, because it's filled with thorium dioxide dust, which is a byproduct of mining certain minerals, and they found a great way to get rid of it is to sell it to those very eco hippies that you were talking about, who are
Yeah.
all like, "Oh wow, healing ionic
I
power."
can feel
make-
it. I can feel
They
it.
make
So good.
pendants, and you know those anti. Have you seen the anti-radiation stickers, the holographic stickers you get for your phone, that it protects you from the 5G energy? They're
Yeah,
radioactive as
yep.
well. They've mixed radioactive powder into the adhesive, so these people are protecting themselves from the dangerous 5G radiation with alpha, beta, and gamma, technically speaking, because these are mainly alpha emitters, but what you were detecting there in the Geiger counter was gamma breakdown byproducts.
You know, this reminds me on something that I rant on intermittently throughout my life. I watch Star Trek, and I assume a majority of you people out there don't watch Star Trek, and you don't really know what it's about. But
Wildly radioactive.
basically, in Star Trek, like society has reached a point where, for the most part, everybody is just working towards the betterment of mankind. It's a romantic idea that all humans now are, that we've gone through world wars, famine. Our technology is so advanced, like none of that stuff is bothering us anymore, and everybody just works towards the betterment of mankind. And all the time, I'm like, we are so far away from that idea, that model. Like we'll
You know,
never.
what was it? I
never
was listening
get
to Elon Musk or something saying something how in the future, we're probably not going to have to work. I call that bullshit because we are genuinely our own worst enemy. We all just fight
Absolutely.
each other.
I just bought freaking
Mhm.
mushroom coffee mud water or whatever for a Black Friday.
Mud water.
Bill's like, you're so stupid.
I don't even know why. I don't even know why I hate it so much. I hate the guy who made the commercials. It seems like such like this hippie thing. Like in the commercial, the guy's like, yeah, and everybody's like, man, what are you drinking there, dude? That looks like shit or whatever. And he's like, it's mud water, bro. I'm like,
How do we know it's
nobody
not
talks
just
to you that way?
How do we know it's not just fecal matter out of the sewage
It's
works?
literally just
Probably.
the water that comes out of the mushroom processing plants when they wash the mushrooms. They're literally
Mhm.
just selling you the fucking water, the
Probably
dirt water.
I think
No,
You ever watch those videos where like the guys are working over in like Uganda and they're using their feet to like do all the work because for whatever reason they don't use their hands?
Yeah.
Like every night they go home and they wash their feet in little tubs of water. They let that dry out and then they send it to this guy and he makes it into mud water.
That's
Right,
it.
right. You ever see those? You ever see those street videos of like in India or whatever, where people are like buying random street food, and the guys are always making stuff, and they're like pouring oil or whatever on top of the food, and they like pour it over their hand, and they're very like handsy with all the food. They're like, "Here, eat it." It's like
gross.
Maybe that adds a flavoring, particularly if they've been scratching their crotch just prior to making the food.
Probably.
yeah, but their phones work and they're calibrated all right.
Static charging.
Change the subject. I had to go get a tetanus shot this week because I hit my head when I was working. I hit my head in an attic on a nail sticking down through the roof, and it just started gushing blood everywhere. But anyways, after that, I started thinking about it, and I was like, I haven't had a tetanus shot in like 15, 20 years, something like that. When was the last time you guys got a tetanus
That's a good
shot?
question.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a combined thing when I was a kid at primary school. I think that's it. I
That's what I just got, was that combined one, whatever. But then that got me to thinking too.
What's this? Wait, back that up. The combined one? The tetanus shot with like what else? What else is in this cocktail?
It's botulism and
microchips, botulism.
Yeah.
Lizard DNA.
This is the thing that's kind of funny. I went in and I said, "Hey, I want a tetanus shot." And they said, "Okay, cool." And then I heard the nurse ask the doctor, "Can I give him this combined?" It's a 3-letter acronym or something like that. Something. And one of them is tetanus or whatever. And DTaP. That's what it is. DTaP is what it's called. So it's got 3 things in it. And I'm sitting here thinking, what happened to me just getting a tetanus shot? Like, it just doesn't happen anymore. Like, they give you 3 things, and it's like, okay, I mean, I guess whatever, but
makes sense. Get it all done in one. Where did they inject you with it? Was it a rectal injection? Or was it, no, that's quite good then.
They didn't make me drop my pants.
You can't spell tetanus without anus.
Yes.
Yeah. Jesus says, what's a tetanus shot? So supposedly you can get sick from metals that pierce your body. So if you cut yourself with a knife, if you stab your head with a nail, rusty nail, supposedly you can get tetanus from that.
All kind of stabbed our head with rusty nails in the past.
Oh yeah.
And how many people actually get tetanus from that? I thought it was more if you cut yourself while you're out in the garden or digging a hole or trench, and then that contamination can get in.
Crap. Yeah, it's just rusty old crap. But they say the tetanus shot is good for 10 years. So you're supposed to get it every 10 years. I don't know. It's probably a big pharma thing where it's just ingrained in our heads that we have to get this shot every 10 years so they can bill out the insurance companies. But I just played with their games. So, but yeah, I had to go get that. But I will say that I was working in an attic and I was doing something and I was just finishing up. And then I just went boom like this. And I go, fuck. And my employees were down and they're like, what happened? And I go, I hit my head. And then I just said, fuck, because it hurt. And I didn't think anything of it. And I'm working and my head felt kind of weird. And then I like put my hand back here and I touched it. And it was just all blood. And I'm like, God damn it.
Did they rush up there and like carry you down? Like, oh no, our money tree. We need to get him to safety.
But isn't it amazing how much your head bleeds? Because something about the blood vessels being so closed or something like that.
Old school wrestling will teach you that.
Yeah.
Particularly if it penetrates the skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about penetrating the skull. My skull's pretty hard, but
See, I was going to say me and Bill get it worse, but because there's so many more things sticking down at head height that are installed by, shall we say, shorter installers who callously leave screwed rod cut with a sharp edge just at head height for big people.
Well, Adam, you remember my old house, how tall my basement was?
Yeah.
It was legit, 5.5 foot tall, my basement.
What the hell?
That's annoying.
Like I could stand up in between the rafters and I hit my head quite a bit.
That would suck.
But you know what? It sucks even more is, I'm bald. So I feel like hair, although not the best cushion, does offer a bit of resilience at times.
You could wear a wig. That might help.
Hair, surprisingly, even just the littlest bit of hair makes you feel so much warmer. I've noticed that because I've gone from shaving my head to not, in the last couple of years. And you'd be surprised how much colder you get.
That's the point of these tumbleweaves next time.
Beards in winter.
Bill and his tumbleweaves.
Yeah, my tumbleweaves.
So, Bill, how do you like your? Go ahead. Sorry.
Carry on.
I was just gonna say, how much do you like your new house compared to your old house?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's like 100%. But I mean, besides the massive house payment, I mean that part sucks. But I think about it often, especially this time of year when it's cold. I can put my hand up next to the wall, and like my house isn't the tightest. There's still some things that I've discussed with Adam that are sort of bothersome. But like my old house, dude, I could feel the wind blowing through the walls. I mean, there's frost on the windows. I mean, it was a 125-year-old house that really was never properly updated. So yeah, it's like night and day.
Was your old house bigger though?
No, it's about the same size.
All right.
Yeah.
What about the barn? Do you include the barn in that? Was the barn
I do
spacious?
kind of miss the barn. Yeah, the barn was massive. It was a 2-story barn.
Oh, that's good.
It legit could have been converted into a house or apartment upstairs. A loft.
You could have put
apartment.
could have put porta cabins into that, and then just got your family to live in the porta cabins in the barn. Or just, I suppose you could actually have just partitioned it off and made a nice, cozy, warm, modern building inside.
See, I would have loved if I had the money, and I would probably have taken that house and relocated it and then fixed it up. Because I really didn't like the location. I was like 15 feet away from very active train tracks. So that was kind of bothersome, but it needed a new foundation on it. It basically needed to be gutted down to the studs. But I will say, this new house, I got to see it getting built, and I got to see the quality of materials that went into it, and like the little tiny rafters that they put in place, and the little tiny boards they put under the floor. And like every time I'm walking on the floor, I think of these little tiny boards. I'm like, man, how many people could this floor support? I literally thought about hosting Thanksgiving one year, and I'm like, I don't know if my little tiny floorboards could support all this weight.
Here's the thing. Like, we still kind of like vocally measure our timber in inches here. So a 6x2 is a nice, good, solid timber that I'd call good for a floor. So when I re-roofed the garage out here, I went to the local distributors and ordered 6x2 wood, and what arrived, I was thinking, that's not 6x2, and I'm measuring it and thinking, it was metric sizes, but they'd sized it all down. They called it a 6x2, but they'd nudged it down significantly in both dimensions, and it was just 6x2 by name. I went over the top. I went over the top because you look at modern houses and the tiny little joists, and it's like the minimum they can use. And it just feels like they are skimping to the very edge of actual structural integrity.
Like my floorboards, I don't know, what are they called? Rafters or whatever. They're legitimately it's plywood. They're plywood at an angle with I don't know, what is it, like a 2x3 or something, like on the top and the bottom as a sort of a runner. It's so weird. It's like, how is that? I mean,
so traditionally here,
safe.
It would have been floorboards, but now they tend to use either chipboard or plywood in some instances, or OSB, oriented strand board, which makes it kind of hard for access. But I don't know if you guys have the same thing. You get those hole cutters that cut a fairly large access hole through it and then put a rim around it, so you can actually do your stuff with pipes and wires through the holes, and then you just put the little plastic caps on top of them. They're quite handy.
See, I wonder if the guy who does that cutting and putting the thing around there, if like his job is to just do rim jobs all day.
Probably. I mean, I've got one of those things. So I did a rim job. That's what I used to actually drill the hole in the ceiling.
Bet you did a rim job before the show.
It did, probably. Yes.
Yeah.
When I moved into this place, you're talking about heights and your head clearance there. This place is a wee bungalow, and it was owned by short people. And the light fittings were sort of like candelabra light fittings hanging literally down to this height at face height. So you had to go like this round the candelabra light fittings.
That's funny.
And then there's one. This is actually outside the house. So there's that door there is actually the back door before they built this extension on. And just further, the other side of my bench there is what was a window out to the garden, but they turned it into a door. So they basically kept the lintel in and just taken it down to the ground, and that is another big wide door. Except the lintel is actually at forehead height when I go through that door. So it's like, I've only hit my head once. In the whole time I've lived here, I've only hit my head in it once. That was enough.
See, Clive is one of these giants all the conspiracists talk about.
Yeah.
Giants from the old world.
Hey, I got a question. Adam, do you have one of those tools that you can clean out a used PVC fitting with?
No, but I've always wanted one of those. Those things
I
look
want one of those too. Like, I don't know why I wouldn't use it, but I'm sitting here thinking, man, I've thought of a few times when I've had to like cut a PVC fitting off and you don't have a lot of room and you just want to cut the fitting off. And then I'm like, but how am I going to, and I want to get one of those tools that reams out but I wonder how difficult it is to get it straight. Or do you like go at an angle and accidentally go the wrong way? And
well, I've seen like cheap ones that look like you could easily screw up a fitting, and I've seen like really expensive ones that look like they're legit, like you'd have no problem because it's like self-centering and all that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Another thing that I wanted to buy plumbing related is a jet sweat. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Like if you have a leaky copper pipe and you want to add a valve to it, and if you're trying to sweat copper pipes with water, it doesn't work, right?
Right.
It's like this long rod. And it has a handle at the end, and you tighten the handle, and there's like a rubber piece.
Oh, I've seen those.
It closes off, so there's no water that's dripping, and you could solder on a valve.
But it's like 6 inches away from where you're going to be soldering. So it's basically a plug that goes in there and expands out, blocks off the water. And then when you're done,
I see.
pull it
That's a
completely
good
out of the
idea.
valve, right?
Yeah, that's a good
As
idea.
opposed to using your pipe freezer that doesn't work.
I mean, as long as there's not a 90 right above where you want that valve.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like how often do you use your pipe freezer, Adam?
It's low on refrigerant, and
You said that like 3 years ago.
I know. Well, I haven't needed it since then, so I'm like, I'll get around to it one day. I don't have the right refrigerant. I don't even remember what it takes, but I don't.
Wasn't it just 134A? I thought.
No, it's something different.
Oh, some weird stuff.
Just do a Mexican style and just squirt butane barbecue gas into it.
I never thought about that.
I never
Just
thought
to
about that
freeze it
either.
from the inside out. Yeah, but I've been wanting one of those little. That was something I want to look into, the PVC deburring tool. Don't know why I need it, but I want one. So
does it leave the joint weaker though? Because I'd worry about putting it in, particularly if it was like fairly high water pressure. You're talking just drainage stuff where it's not going to be at high pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess drainage is where I'd use it the most.
Yeah,
But
so it's not super risk. The risk is it could crack and then leak. But
well, the question is because you're basically taking a fitting that has already been glued, so you have to cut the pipe off, and then you still have a piece of pipe stuck in the fitting, so you got to deburr the old pipe so that way the fitting can accept a new piece of pipe. So the question is, are you cracking the inside of there with small internal cracks, and is the new PVC glue you're going to put in there going to fill it up, or is it going to fail later? That's the question. I guess you probably wouldn't want to use it on pressurized PVC, only on drain PVC maybe.
yeah.
So yeah, interesting. Well, I think it's time we wrap it up, guys. It is already been an hour and 15 minutes.
Many good subjects were discussed.
Yeah, as usual. And what people don't know, and see, this is what you don't know, is the conversations after we turn off the record are
way
even
more.
better.
Yeah.
Even better.
And they're
Those
ruder.
are-
Sometimes alcohol's involved.
Yes.
And we take our pants off.
that's for the patron stream right there.
That's why you can't get a link, Cyborg.
So sign up right now, and you can